Hello and welcome. This time around we are continuing with our work that is in history from 3, and this time around we'll start look at this wonderful topic, the European occupation and administration of Central Africa. So in here we are continuing with what we started when we are looking at southern Rhodesia. So this time around we'll be looking at northern Rhodesia, and we'll also connect to Nyasaland. So we'll look at how the European how they came and they occupied northern Rhodesia, which is Zambia, and Nyasaland, which is our Malawi. So let us look at how the colonial occupation of Central Africa, and this is northern Rhodesia, how they occupied northern Rhodesia. Now we are going to start with factors that led to the growth of British interest in northern Rhodesia. So these factors, they span from 1885 to 1923. That was the period when it was occupied, or the occupation by the BSA company. So just as it was with the southern Rhodesia, there were also some factors that contributed to the interest to the occupation of southern Rhodesia. So them we are talking, we are saying that they were the factors or the interest. What were they interested mainly for them to come to northern Rhodesia? Number one was the minerals like copper in Barotseland, to replace the southern Rhodesia gold. So they were interested in copper that was in Barotseland. Also, they were interested in agriculture. So the whites, they owned large pieces of land for cash crops, mainly tobacco, and also suppression of slave trade. They wanted to suppress slave trade among the Vemba, the Swahili, and Kazembe, who were the occupants of that area, that is the northern Rhodesia. And also settlement. They wanted more land to settle, as southern Rhodesia was becoming overpopulated and had a lot of conflicts there. Remember, when the people, most of the people were flocking to northern Rhodesia, southern Rhodesia, for greener pastures. So it was like overpopulated with the white settlers. Hence, others, they were flocking, they wanted to find other areas or other dimensions where they can settle as well. So having looked at the interest of the whites on northern Rhodesia, let's look at how northern Rhodesia was divided, the divisions of northern Rhodesia. So divisions, number one was the Barotseland. There was Barotseland. So this one was the Northwest Rhodesia. Northwest Rhodesia was regarded as Barotseland. So it was dominated by the Rosi people under their chief or their king, who was called Lewanika. So the Rosi, basically they were peaceful and they did not participate in slave trade. So they invited the British to settle in their area for protection against the Ndebele and the Portuguese. So you see to it that the Rosi, they were the peaceful people. They loved peace, and they invited the British so that they get protection from the other groups like the Ndebele as well as the Portuguese. And also there were the Wemba or the Bembaland. The Bembaland, it was the Northeast Rhodesia. The Northeast Rhodesia was the Wembaland. So this one, it was occupied by the hostile tribes whose chiefs involved in slave trade. And the tribes of the Wembaland were the Lunda of Kazembe and the Wemba themselves. So that was the Wemba who were under Shitimkulu. Shitimkulu was their leader. And the Swahili Arabs, they were also there in the Wembaland. And also the Ngoni of Mpezeni, they were in the Wembaland. So you can see how northern Rhodesia was divided, Barotseland and Wembaland. So Barotseland was peaceful, while the Wembaland, it was somehow hostile. most of the people, they were participating in slave trade, like the Wemba, the Lunda, the Swahili Arabs, and the Ngoni, you know them, they were already hostile. They were raiders, they were raiding other people. And now let us look at the strategies. What strategies did the British use in occupying northern Rhodesia? So number one was that they used the missionaries and the natives. For example, Francois Coillard of the Paris Evangelical Mission. This one, he persuaded Lewanika of the Balotseland to seek the British protection. So we have said that the Balotse people, the Lozi, they sought the protection of the British, but that one, it was not just themselves. They were convinced by Francois Coillard of the Paris Evangelical Mission. So that's why here we are saying that they used missionaries. They used missionaries in order to penetrate into the land of the natives. And also they were using the fortune or concession seekers such as Frank Roshna and Arthur Lowry, who were able to negotiate with the chiefs. And also they were using the force. They used the force. So the company, they used Sir Alfred Sharp as well as Major Patrick Forbes to conquer the hostile tribes to penetrate into their land. So also force was used to penetrate into the land of northern Rhodesia. Now let us look at how they occupied northwestern Rhodesia or Balotseland, the land of the Lozi people under the Wanika. So Cecil John Rhodes was interested in this area because it had minerals like copper. So unlike the Matabele land, the British, they penetrated this area very, very peaceful in this area. They went there very peacefully. So this land of the Balote or the Rhodes was under the reign of the Rose king who was called Lewanika. So Balote land, it was under Lewanika. So unlike Lobengula, Lewanika wanted the British protection, just as we have said that Francois Coillard of the Paris Evangelical Mission, he also convinced them to say, if you seek the British protection, you are going to benefit. There are more benefits from there. So after being convinced, then Lewanika, he allowed the people, the British, to come in. Although Rhodes in that area, we are saying that he was interested in copper. So Lewanika was interested in the British protection. Why? Or why was he interested? Why was Lewanika interested in the British protection? So some of the reasons included, number one was that because of the constant threats from the Ndebele, so he wanted protection. And also the Portuguese threats from the west and the German occupation of southwest Africa, that is Namibia. That one again, it was a threat. There were the Portuguese on the other side and the Germans on this other side. So he wanted that protection to say, if we have the whites again in our land, therefore our land is going to be very safe from other whites again or Europeans, the Portuguese as well as the Germans. And also internal problems of political unrest, that is a rebellion of 1884. Also encouragement that Lewanika got from the Ngwato chief, that is the Kama of Bechuana land. Bechuana land is present day Botswana. So who had accepted the British protection. So Kama of Bechuana land, he also encouraged Lewanika to say, these people are just okay. They are in our country, so you can also accept them. So he was convinced with the karma of Bechuana land. And again, it was because of encouragement from Francois Coillard, who was a missionary of the Paris Evangelical Mission. So as we have already pointed out, Francois Coillard, he also influenced or convinced him to seek the whites presence in his area, that is Lewanika. So let's look at Lewanika's reforms as a reaction to the British occupation of Barotseland. What were the reforms that he did? So number one, he abolished trial and torture by poison ordeal. So he stopped the trial, that is, was by poison, to say if someone is found guilty, he was given poison to say, all right, take this poison. So he stopped that, and again he stopped the practice of burning witches and wizards. So he later sent them to faraway places. So the witches and the wizards, they were uh, burnt before the coming of the whites. So there he was convinced to say, no, this is bad. So you can see to it, our friends, they understood these things long time ago, but you hear in Malawi that they have found wizards or witches there, they burn them. No, our friends, they got that education very far. We talk of 1800s or 1885 here. That's when Lewanika understood that no, these people, they need not to be killed or they need not to be burnt. So the only solution there was that they were sent far away, outside his domain. So that was at least better off than burning them. So I hope we are going to learn and civic educate our communities to say no, burning people is not a solution. The wishes, after all, the evidence of wishes are so questionable. And also he forbade brewing and selling of beer as Kama did. So brewing and selling of beer, he also forbade it. And also he forbade excessive beer drinking, as it led to violent incidents. So beer drinking excessively, he also did not allow that. He forbade that. And he encouraged the missionary work and education through, though himself did not become a Christian. So he encouraged Christianity to spread in his territory. He also encouraged education to flourish in his territory. Also, Lewanika, he abolished domestic slavery among the laws. So no domestic slavery. We said already that the laws, they did not take part in slave trade. But here, within, sometimes they were taking each other hostage or slavery, domestic slavery. So he abolished that to say no domestic slavery. Maybe someone has failed to pay a debt, then that one was taken to say, now we are going to cultivate in my garden 3 acres. After that, then you go back. So he forbade those things to say no domestic slavery. And also what he did was he improved the agricultural practices through the canal irrigation. So we see here, with the presence of the missionary, Paris evangelical missionaries, they assisted him a lot. That is the Wanika, to say the new farming or to adopt the new farming techniques. So you see here, new farming techniques are good. So he adopted them and improved them, and we see here where here of irrigation. They started doing irrigation long time ago. So let's look at the roles. What were the roles that were played by the BSA company in the occupation of northern Rhodesia? So number one was the signing of treaties such as the Ware, Roshna, and Rhodesia treaties with the Lewanika. So there was the signing of treaties. And number two was the conquering of hostile tribes that resisted the British occupation. So other hostile tribes that we just mentioned, they were occupied by force, like the Wemba, the Swahili Arabs, the Mpezeningoni, and the Kazembe of Lunda. So they were occupied by force. So let's look at the treaties, because we have said that the BSA company embarked on signing of the treaties. What were the treaties? So there were many treaties that which were signed to occupy, that is, northern Rhodesia. So the treaties which were signed between Lewanika and Rhodes representatives, there were a number of them. So we are going to look at those treaties between Lewanika and the representatives of the BSA company of Rhodes, Cecil John Rhodes. So what were they? Number one was the Ware concession. The Ware concession of 1889. So Henry Ware was a Kimberley business person. So he signed the mining rights with the Lewanika, which was to last for 20 years. So he signed the mineral rights. So that was Henry Ware. So he signed that uh, uh, concession, that agreement with Lewanika, which lasted for 20 years. So what were the terms? Number one, Ware was given the exclusive mineral rights, just as it was with the road concession. Remember the terms of the road concession with Lobengula. So there was that exclusive mineral rights to say all the minerals now are in your hands. You have to deal with it for 20 years. So that was over the Tongaland, which was outside Barotseland. And also Lewanika was to receive an annual subsidy of £200 and the mineral royalties. So he was also to be given some royalties, some benefits from the minerals that were to be extracted. So this concession was sold to Cecil John Rhodes. So here, that's where you need to understand it better. So here what we are saying is that Henry, where he went there, he was just a Kimberley business person. So he was an independent business person. He did not go there on behalf of Cecil John Rhodes or on behalf of the BSA company. No, he went there alone and signed that agreement as independently, and he was given that mineral right to say, you are going to mine here for 20 years in the Tongaland. But then when he went back, he sold that right to Cecil John Rhodes. So that's how sometimes business works. You can have something somewhere, you can make an agreement with someone. If you see that you cannot manage to do that, it's better to sell again your rights to other people. Then you can also make big money there, just as it is here. I believe Henry Ware, he made a big money there. He made just a big money there. Another one was the Roshna Treaty of 1890. So Rhodes sent Frank Roshna to negotiate a more comprehensive treaty with the Lewanika. So after a long series of discussion, Roshna signed a comprehensive treaty with the Lewanika. So what were the terms of this Roshna Treaty? Number one was that Lewanika gave the company exclusive mineral mining and the commercial rights over the whole of his territory. So the difference with that Ware concession was that this one now, the Ware concession only regarded or stipulated about the Tongaland, which was outside Barotseland. But here now, it is now giving the mineral rights, exclusive mineral rights, in all his territory, in all his kingdom. As a result, it was somehow exclusive mineral rights. And again, he agreed not to enter into another agreement with any other party, just as it was with the road concession. Again, it was the same. So Cecil John Rhodes was a very clever business person. So after signing that exclusive one, he knew that some people would be coming also to seek that concession and maybe sell it to the company, to the BSA company. So that one sealed. It is sealed to say no one again is going to come here to say he has come here to beg the rights to have minerals extracted in his area. And witchcraft and slavery were to end. That was another term to say no witchcraft, no slavery in the Barotseland. And in return to the Roshna Treaty was Lewanika and his country, they were to receive British protection. They were to be protected by the British, of which Lewanika also wanted it already. We have mentioned that there were the Germans in Namibia as well as the Portuguese on the other side that were also eyeing for the Barotseland. Therefore, Lewanika here, he was assured to say, you are going to be under the British protection. Number two, a British resident representative was to be sent to stay there at the royal court with Lewanika there. So a British resident representative was sent to stay with Lewanika at the royal court there to show that the British were also in protection of this territory of Lewanika. And Lewanika was to get the mineral royalties. the mineral royalties were to be given to Lewanika. That is the profits after maybe the extracting, then they were to be giving him some sort of. And education, trade, and communication was to be extended to the Bulozi people. So education, trade, and communication were also to be introduced in the territory of Lewanika. Another treaty was the Lore Treaty of 1898. So this treaty was negotiated by Arthur Raleigh and Robert Corendon. So the two, they went there to agree with Lewanika in June 1898. So what were the terms of the Arthur Raleigh Treaty? So this treaty repeated most of the important points of the Roshna Treaty. So it was like a seeding part, an emphasis of what was there in the Roshna Treaty. So, however, Lewanika also granted the company powers of administration and jurisdiction over most of his territory. So what happened again during the Arthur and the Raleigh Treaty? What happened was that Lewanika also granted some territories to be governed by solely by the British, who were to look after the administration of those territories, as well as to look after the jurisdiction, the legal issues of those areas. And the other one was the Victoria Falls Treaty of 1900. So this one, it aimed to clarify and confirm the Raleigh Treaty. So the company had the right to make the grants of land for farming purposes in any part of Tonga and Ira country. So the company now, with this treaty, they had the right now to make grants of land, that is to share the land to the people like the whites in the Tonga land and the Ira. And also the Lozi inhabited area of the protectorate remained closed to European protecting and mining. So the Lozi inhabited area, it remained closed to the European prospecting and mining. So in the places where the Rosi settled, that area, they agreed that no disturbances for the people. They need not to be displaced because you want to mine or you want to find some precious things here. No. Let the Rosi people stay peacefully in their area. If you want mining, it is only to the agreed areas. So that's what they confirmed in the Victoria Falls Treaty. And also, the company had to provide schools, industries, postal and telegraph services, and transportation. So the BSA company, it also confirmed to say it was going to provide education, open up companies and the post office, the telegraph, and even open up roads or transportation system. And there was also the Treaty of 1909, the Treaty of 1909. So this was signed between the BSA company and the Lewanika in 1909. So through this treaty, the BSA company got the rights in minerals, land, overall administration of northwestern Rhodesia. So with that Treaty of 1909, it was now to say the BSA company now has taken over control of administration in everything in northwestern Rhodesia. The administration now was in the hands of the BSA company.